All right, team. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring on our guest for today. Normally we have our interviews on Wednesday, but we were able to schedule something special for a gentleman that I've been watching closely out there on the internet world. I'll bring over his profile. You're probably very familiar with Stocktwits. Everyone here, I'm sure, uses it. I'm going to unmute you, Howard, and allow you to talk through Zoom. There'll probably be a little bit of a button that pops over on your side.
Yep.
How are you, buddy?
I'm very good. Where are you today?
I'm in Nashville, Tennessee.
Nice.
Yes. Are you still living in Colorado, California?
I'm in Coronado for a couple months, yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Well, thank you for taking the time to do this, man. I know you're a big fan of trading, and obviously you're a huge finance guy, and so I thought I'd bring you on into the trading room and just ask you questions. I'm sure there's a lot of eager, esteemed people out there who are going to ask you some questions as well. So I'll kind of relay that if you can't see it in to Zoom. But just give us a little bit of background on yourself, man. How'd you get this, co-founder, chairman of Stocktwits? How would that vision come to be?
I mean, we're in the era of the individual, we call it, where there's a lot of young people. I at one time was a young person myself. And there was no internet. There was just magazines and yelling at the walls. I think the big boom for a change in careers for me was YouTube. You know, the fact that people could broadcast off. I don't even think there was no smartphone yet, but they could just sit in front of their camera as you're doing today, really, with Zoom.
Yeah.
And broadcast in actual fact, it's amazing that it took so long for products like Zoom to exist, you know, and you're kind of ahead of the curve here using it. But the whole idea was, you know, these social networks combined with these great tools allowed people to communicate and build their own, what I call pelotons, you know, like the old bike race at the Tour de France, you know, taking this old concept and applying it to investing in any subject where you want to get smart, you know, build these expert networks. You don't have to rely on the man. You can build your own, like I call it, peloton, where you can get a group of people and reduce drag, increase your knowledge, speed things up. And that's just a huge advantage for this next generation, and it makes people smarter. You know, as the Tour de France shows with the peloton, it increases speeds 30 to 40%. All these social networks around investing increase people's ability to learn. It took me 10, 15 years to find mentors and a strategy that worked for me. I think people can get that in 2 to 3 years now, build some much quicker. So it's an exciting time for that. Stocktwits was just, you know, an iteration on what we saw at Twitter. I was super bullish on the idea. I like Twitter more as jokes and memes, and I wanted to use Twitter to talk about stocks. And so we built Stocktwits, and that was it. It was just it was just a simple idea. Our contribution to the ecosystem was the $. You know, we thought, you know, if you searched on Twitter for Apple, you were going to find a lot of talk about Apple, the fruit, and a lot of talk about the stock. And the hashtag was pretty spammy. So we created the $. People in stocks think about tickers. They speak this language of 3 and 4 letter and 5 letter tickers.
Yeah.
And we just hacked the system with the $, and then in 2009 built our own platform. Which
is great, man. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I love that. And that drove from a passion of yours of trading. Are you more of a trader or an investor presently now?
I've never been a good trader. I think emotionally, I was built, you know, everybody's got to find their, I don't know, it's like the movie The Jerk. Everybody's got to find their true. Can I put on my video? Do you want me to put on video?
Sure, man, if you want to. Yeah.
I love the way you're using, you're using Zoom overlaid with your screen?
Yep.
Hang on, let me just see. Hide full video. How do I put my video on?
Let's see if I can make that happen. How do we, give me 1 second. You would be the first video person we've ever had. I know I can make it. Let me promote you to panelist. Hope that doesn't change anything. All right, so I made you panelists, and that should help.
Now I have to figure out how to add video, mute my audio, hide selfie. Can you see me?
Not yet. We just have the name, just your name.
Oh, I think I did it. Because you can't start your video because the host has stopped it. Okay, no biggie. Yeah, next time we can try and do video. But as long as everybody can hear me.
Yes.
So I think everybody has to be honest. The faster people are honest with their true, risk tolerance. And for me, it's just, trading is like, I think it's fantastic if people, and I think millions of people are going to be doing it, and it's decentralized. Trading has become decentralized, much like we talk about crypto and decentralized currency. Trading's decentralized, right? That's the power of Twitter and Stocktwits. We're pulling together people that have been decentralized. You're wearing a comfortable shirt in Nashville, Tennessee, making trades, talking to people, moving stocks, thinking about things, positioning yourself. And, in that world, you have to be really honest with yourself because now you're competing against everybody in real time. It's the true Fortnite.
Yeah. Absolutely a great point.
Yeah, everybody's in the giant virtual Fortnite game in the market. So I felt my biggest edge was standing as far back from the noise as possible. I love the noise, love meeting the people like you and seeing how they trade, but I can't compete. I got too many things going on.
Yeah.
I also am probably too emotional for the trading game, and for me, I don't look at the stock market as a place to build wealth. Luckily, I use it as a place to participate and expand wealth, and as a place to challenge myself to kind of outsmart people on a longer term frame. And so I look as the noise gets louder, right? Twitter, Stocktwits. Not that it's bad noise; it's just noise. And as the noise gets louder from different sources, I think that the machines and everything do a great job of getting you as close to the noise as possible. And so I can't compete against that speed.
Yeah.
And all the fake outs. And so the best thing to do is stand as far away from that gusher of information as possible. Use monthly charts, weekly charts, not minutes and dailies, and really read and find smart people to kind of understand catalysts and trends. I was talking about yesterday Shopify. If we pull up Shopify, which is
can do,
has been overvalued since I was nervously buying it in the 20s. Because it had already come public, and there was so much competition from Square and WordPress and all the potential companies, and it, I don't know, quadrupled or up 500% to 100, and I started recommending it to people even after it had multiplied 500% as a company, and by looking at the monthlies, I understood the catalyst, and it kept me in, when I find a good trend, I want to stay in it as long as possible. The catalyst for Shopify back in 2016 was the price breakout. If we can zoom back in, it broke out in 2017, right there, those white bars.
Yeah.
And that was probably my entry point back in 2017 when it broke out, to all-time highs there in the first quarter of 2017. And then once I had big profits in it, I can go to the monthly charts and try and stay in them. And if you see here, other than at the end of 2018, which got pretty hairy, but it was market related, you were able to stay in this. And so by, at the line of scrimmage, which was the original breakout in 2017, I never thought it could be a 10 bagger or a 15 bagger, right? But
Yeah.
once it became a four-bagger, by applying my monthly charts, I wasn't so much worried about the daily noise.
Sure.
And I'm looking for 4 or 5 of those a year. Maybe you can find one of those. Twilio was another one. The where and then recently I'm pretty bullish on Bitcoin and PAGS, which is it's kind of like a Square meets PayPal of Latin America IPO that's just breaking out. And so the original catalyst was the breakout from the IPO in the 30s, and this white bar in May or June after the black bar, right? A little further to the right, a little more. Yeah. So I was a little early there playing it, and now that I have a big game, I think the catalyst is, on dips, they can be acquired by some of the big American companies. So there's a cushion there. Technically very strong, right market.
Yep.
Now I got to deal with the volatility. So I'm not worried about the day to day. It's frustrating to look at, big moves day to day, but I'm trying to find now that I have a cushion, apply a monthly chart, stay with these trends longer than ever. So that's why I kind of love what I'm doing. Now at the line of scrimmage, I get a lot of fake outs and 10% losses. And, like anything else, you've got to find these stocks that kind of give you a 20 to 40% quick lift before I can sit back and get a little more comfortable. So there's no perfect strategy. It's a little aggravating to try and find winners, but by applying basic rules of price and volume and breakouts and catalysts, I find my stocks, and then the further I stand back, the better to let the winners go.
I think a lot of people will take comfort in that you mentioned, and you just came out and said, hey, I'm just, my emotions, like I'm just too, I know my style, and that's not it. Like the short-term time frame, the ins and outs, because there are definitely myriads of ways for people to approach the market. I think it's very important for people to try something, because you tried it, I'm sure, and you're like, you know what, I don't like this. I want to do longer term. I want to find bigger picture trends and companies and macro scales, and then put money in and just let it do its thing for a while. But you had to learn that somehow, right?
Yeah, and macro I don't even like. Macro would get me scared. I'm so scared of the macro. Like I'll check in I have a lot of good friends who are good writers, Ben Hunt, Raul, Paul at Real Vision.
Yeah.
And every time I listen to a macro person, I'm like, how do they get out of bed in the morning? From a macro perspective, we've gone to hell 1,000 times.
Yeah.
From a micro perspective, great companies, entrepreneurs continue to plug away, travel the world, network, figure out ways to grow. On a macro perspective, we know this. The world's a swamp. People are crazy at the fringe. But on the micro world, especially as America's still a free country, there's just massive opportunity. So I think macro's fun.
Yeah.
I love reading Ben Hunt or listening to a video about currencies.
Yeah.
But despite all the crazy people running the world, there's a lot of smart people running companies and creating growth, and there's enough people playing Fortnite, which is the market, that are out looking for growth, that the system works despite all the craziness.
Which I think that's great information. And I have a question I'd love to dive more into, because I think this is something that a lot of people will overlook and they won't totally contemplate correctly. Is you mentioned you don't see the stock market as a way to grow wealth necessarily, but you see it as a way to maybe store it. Can you talk a little bit more about that? What's your vision for growing wealth? I'm assuming you're more of a business entrepreneur. Let me create something, build it from the ground up, and have people buy that. Is that correct?
Yeah. I think we've seen the Vanguard. Like I don't think it's kind of fake passive, but I think most people can, from looking at 50-year returns of the S&P or 10-year periods of returns, it's a really good idea to index, until it isn't, of course, and you got to have wealth. You got to use money management. But for most people, market cap weighted indexing works. I've built my own strategy over time for stocks to say, I'm looking, if I want to just get market returns, I should be in the S&P, and I don't have to like report to anybody, and keep my costs down. And the market's down 20%, I'll add a little bit, and when the market's up 30%, I'll sell a little bit, and apply my own very simple low cost strategies. I invest in the market with the money that I really want to do, which is very aggressively, meaning I'm looking to grow it. I'm just not expecting to get, it's not the money that I need tomorrow, or I need to pay bills. Meaning, my job makes me wealthy, but if I'm going to go into the market, I'm going to try and beat the market. And the only way to beat the market is to use momentum and to use, buy the highest growing stock. So when I am in the market, I'm not looking to trade. I'm looking to find these Twilios and Shopifys and Pags and Bitcoins, these things that have catalysts, but are yet they're going to be overvalued always, but no one really is talking about them.
Man, Howard, I want to give you just an internet hug. Thank you for bringing up Bitcoin. I get poo-pooed on a lot in this industry for just being bullish on this asset, and that's fine. Why are you bullish on it, man?
I'm bullish because I follow smart people, so it goes to the Peloton thing. The smartest people I know. And then there's a lot of fake evangelism, and there's a lot of crazes and fringes in any of these great ideas. Is the smartest people I know who don't need to take reputation risk are long. And they're not just long, they're like, they don't care. They're in it with money that they don't care if it goes to zero. So that's important, right? Sure. They're not in it for the scam. So it's Mark Andreessen, Chris Dixon, Fred Wilson. These are guys that have already made their fortunes. They don't need to promote this stuff. They have reputation risk, not just capital risk. Meaning, why the hell would they be in it and promoting it when they're already billionaires, right?
Yeah.
They're technologists, and they understand that if things, ceteris paribus, meaning all things being equal, assuming that supply is, you're not going to wake up one day and Bitcoin can be, 80 million Bitcoins. As long as the code of 20 million is legit, right? And we have the same issue with gold. If we wake up tomorrow and we find 80 billion more ounces of gold somewhere hidden, the price of gold's going to drop, and people are not going to feel the same as gold. But in a world where governments are printing money, in a world where software is eating the world, a product that can be a store of value, a software product that can be a store of value and built upon, has, if you're not long that, I don't know, I don't know, the fact that it's volatile is a feature, not a bug. It's to shake out, people. I have no idea if it'll be 1,000 or 100,000 or $1, but my inkling is it goes much, much higher, because the people that are bullish are not interested in selling, and they're interested in building on top of it. And so it seems like after 10 years, Bitcoin will be the winner. I'm not very bullish on much else in this land. But if you read the original white paper, once a year, you realize that it really makes a lot of sense. If you, it should already be zero based on all the negative and all the hacking and all the problems that it has. So it's just one of those software products that is working, and it may never work beyond being just a simple digital store of value, but that's
exactly.
Good enough.
Exactly. Yeah. But you're right. The overall aspect of it and what it's used for, like you mentioned, even if it's not what a lot of people would like it to be, even if it's not that, it still has the ability to actually be used for just transferring money from point A to point B if you really need to, or currencies.
If I had to leave, this is why I'm bullish. If I had to leave America, I was trapped in Canada. I lost my green card like a week ago, and it's like, that's not the end of the world. I had to pay a lawyer and get back. But if I really had to leave America because I was worried about religious problems or something that I just had to leave the country for because I was scared for our family.
Yeah.
With my crypto accounts and storage, I can get access to capital and start over anywhere. I can't do that with gold.
Mm-hmm.
So just as a fail-safe, got to move the Lindzon family overseas or to Australia, and the banking system doesn't work, and I don't have a green card, or and I don't have my passport. I have a currency, or maybe not a currency, but an asset that I can exchange for money without having to carry it, which is pretty cool.
I like that. That's a great perspective. And I really like the fact that you brought up reputation risk. I mean, that's a different type of risk that I think very few people talk about, but that should be something that is in the forefront of your mind when you're trading as well, or investing, is you have to realize that when you're putting your money on the line, you should consider it as a reputation of yourself for your family members.
Share it. I want to know why people are sharing. On Stocktwits, people are yelling out ideas all the time, but I want to know. I want to spend time with people that are sharing. Why are they sharing it? And what is their history of sharing? This is another thing about social media. There's a timeline to go back and see if people are smart and consistent. And those are the things that we've thought through on Stocktwits. We don't let people delete messages. We encourage people to kind of expand on why they're doing things. So there's the little things that matter that we've built into Stocktwits over the years that help on that aspect.
Let's get back to that for a moment, if that's okay. Are there any cool future things that you're excited about with Stocktwits and that ecosystem that you could share with us?
I mean, I think people are going to be blown away in the next month when we launch our simple brokerage app.
Mm-hmm.
And you see up there on the top right, also we have remove ads. There's a Stocktwits Plus product. And I think once we add a couple features like search is coming out in the next month, where you can search all your past posts and other people's posts to see, kind of plot how they did, taking 10 to 12 years of data from our archives and allowing people to plot who's good and who isn't, is an important thing. So that's one area, is better search. The second area is our trade app, which should launch in September, which is really a culmination of the idea that social and trading has never really been a thing. The SEC is kind of frowned on that, and the incumbents like E-Trade and Schwab are filled with lawyers trying to protect the brand, meaning that if Schwab were ever wanting to start a social network, the lawyers inside Schwab would be like, wait a minute, we can't risk a 30-year company over social. But then along comes, Twitter, Stocktwits, along comes Robinhood, which grows to 6 million customers quickly, and eToro, and then Coinbase. And so you have all these people onboarded. But in a case of Stocktwits, now that there's all these brokerages, Stocktwits went out as a social network first, created our brokerage, approved by the SEC and FINRA. So it's kind of, blessed, at least for now, by the SEC and FINRA. And will allow people to kind of share trades in real time, interact over trades, and kind of put a truer stamp on whether are people buying what they say they're buying. And so it adds another layer of identity and structure to markets, to kind of see what people are actually doing in real time.
Yeah.
Instead of just posting a picture of a trade, it's just like, and Stocktwits has a feature coming out called trade casting, which I can't get into.
Sure.
Which is kind of a mix of Twitch meets Snapchat moments combined with brokerage, that will allow us to take snapshots of, what we're doing and what we're thinking, and track those trades. So we're pretty excited about that as well.
That's very cool. And tell us a little bit about the rooms that exist in Stocktwits.
Yeah, so for rooms, I have a lot of people that want to follow a little bit closer what I do, and I want to, charge, kind of like Slack or Discord for gamers. I want to charge people. Risk Reward is he's an example of a great trader that I pay for. He's been writing for 20, 30 years, and active trader. But these people want to build a business on Stocktwits. They want more features, and they want to have their own chat room or discussion board. So we created these premium rooms where people can, like yourself, if you want, charge, $1 to $100 or $200 a month, and build your business that way. You're doing it. You're using Zoom and other. I don't know what you charge for your product, but you're using a combination of products. Stocktwits Rooms is just a much easier way to hand out an app to your customers and have access to you. So you don't have to build the technology; we provide it for you.
Oh man, that's wonderful. Does Stocktwits ever have any plans on going public?
We're still small. We're a big social network, but until we get into the transaction business and into the kind of the brokerage business, we're in a more consistent revenue stream. It would be hard to go public.
Totally understand.
Advertising-based businesses are not, Google and Facebook. Beyond them, it's a tough business.
Right. So here's a great question I'd like to ask you. Could you, just as someone that I personally have looked up to for a long time, hope you know that, by the way. I'm following you all the time on Stocktwits, and I'm on there pretty frequently. But as someone who likes to grow and is looking to create and build amazing things in the future, what would your picture of like your daily or weekly routine look like that you could help other people kind of use that as a picture of what they should be doing with their lives?
Yeah, I mean, in the investing business, luckily for me, I love to read. I'm curious. I think the one thing that separates, is, big, successful people is, they tend to be curious, right? Something's got to bother you. Something's got to just gnaw at your soul. For me, it was, the individual, the retail investor was just getting screwed over. And, technology finally came along to the point where I could stop complaining about it and do something about it, right? It was this gnawing, I hated CNBC, I hated Bloomberg, and then technology came along that allowed me to at least stop complaining and get off the couch and do something about it, right? And I had this great network that I was building, and et cetera, and I got it done. So the curiosity, it was in my bones, I guess, and luckily I just got the timing right finally and did that. I think the routine is filters. I read a lot. I have the market gives me my routine, when I'm really interested in the markets around earning seasons from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. on the West Coast. I'm dialed in. I'm talking about the markets. I'm trying to understand, sentiment and prices and get a feel for where the market is, because a lot of times I'm traveling and away from the desk. So the markets gave me my structure because of the hours in a day. But and then the most important thing I do is curate, right? I'm not looking to read everything. Really just looking to do less and less as structure gets tighter and tighter, meaning less interruptions, a really simple list of people that I trust that are writing consistently around the subjects that I want to follow. And, I think I talk about it a lot. There's no such thing as information overload, just filter failure. So a lot of my life is about building filters to make sure I'm following the right people, not just reading everything. I don't have the time to be an expert in everything. I'm just trying to be, good at what I do. And for what I do, it's just building that peloton, is making sure that I'm talking to the right people, endearing myself to those people so they continue to share with me, and paying it forward so that I can continue to build that network behind me. Because in my business, I'm only as good as my next ideas or is staying up on things. So you have to do everything from read to pay it forward so that you can continue the ideas flowing. I've had my Robinhood, and it's a great company, but in the world that we live in, it's what have you done for me lately? So I can't rest on sure, I've made money, but if I want to continue being a good venture capitalist, I have to continue to find the next new thing. And to do that, I've got to read the right people. I've got to keep my mind open, whether it's decentralized like Bitcoin or not. I've got to participate in these things and play with them, even if I think they're silly, until they start making sense or they really don't make sense and fail. And then I've got to move on to the next thing. So I've got to pay it forward and keep my network growing. Yeah. So a lot of it is just writing, reading, communicating, and being open.
I love that. I love that.
And that's the structure of my day. It's kind of a silly job, but I love my job.
I love that. No, that's fantastic. And the reading and the being curious and open to insightfulness. You'd be surprised how many people would just shut that wall.
And for me, that's no meetings. I wasn't good at running a company because I don't like meetings and hiring and firing. And, people want to start their own company. It's like a hot, sexy thing. Everybody wants to start their company. But, starting a company doesn't mean you get to do what you want to do. Generally means you're just stuck raising money, hiring people, recruiting, stuck in meetings, never working on the things that you want to work on.
The E-Myth, right?
Yeah. So to be able to have this freedom is a luxury, and I take it seriously, and is a little less structure than being a CEO or a desk job. But I get the structure from both following the market and from talking to smart people.
That's fantastic. You mentioned Shopify, you mentioned Twilio, and you mentioned Pags, and I appreciate the reminder on PAGS. That's a great reminder. Tell us about some that you've just totally missed, man. You saw them, you read them, never pulled the trigger.
Yesterday, every day.
The big ones. What was a big whale that you missed out on?
Well, Twitter was a big whale because Fred Wilson had shown it to me at in the first seed round, and I was like using Twitter on my BlackBerry, and I thought it was so stupid, like, because people weren't using it the way I wanted to use it. So in 2006, I passed on an investment at around a 17 million valuation. The world was kind of just 2008.
Yep.
When I had a chance to invest, the world was coming to an end. Basically, you could have bought any stock at the same time. But the last thing I wanted to do is put my money in a overvalued, I thought, private company. Well, I was wrong there.
Yeah.
So I think the 25 grand that I would have invested would be worth about 10 million. Right?
Yeah.
I'm going to say that's a mic drop right there.
That is.
And there's been 6 or 7 of those. Carta is another company that at a 4 million valuation I looked at. That is now $1.8 billion. So in my business, you're seeing things very early. You have to have a big, the people have to be aligned, the vision, the timing of the market, product market fit. So that's in the private markets, I miss stuff all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the public markets, it's even worse. People can drive themselves nuts. Just the last couple months, my wife's been talking about Pinterest. She doesn't talk about stocks, but she's been, using Pinterest and loving it. And, and today I had a big move, even though the market's in the toilet. But she's super bullish on that. She's super bullish on Spotify as well. But the ones that I've missed the most are things that I dismiss, for stupid reasons, right? So in the stock market, it's just so many. There's just so many. I think what people have to realize is that if you want to get market returns, don't drive yourself crazy, invest in the S&P. If you want to get outsized returns, like I'm trying to do, you're just going to have horror stories, but you just need one Shopify a year to kind of change the way your portfolio looks. So I would tell people it's easy for me to talk about the losses. I think the key is, try and cut your losses quickly. You're going to miss a lot of big winners by doing that, but there's so many a year. There's 50 to 100 a year that go up 200 to 300%. So for the few that you cut losses quickly, you're going to have to live with the fact that sometimes they bottom that day, you sell them and go up 400%.
Yeah, those are really good perspective. I don't think I've had anyone tell me that directly where, hey man, every year you might have 100 or let's just say 50 shots at a 100 to 200% growth. Every year there's gonna be companies, and they might even be brand new companies that are gonna have that type of move. So do a little bit of research, put in some time, try to figure out what it is that you like. And Shopify was one for me that I also was a huge fan of after the IPO because I understood it. I'm not the best at fundamentals, but it was one of those where I get the product, I understand what it is, I know how they make money, and it just seems like an intelligent, wise investment around $30, $40 because I understand what it is. And what's worst case scenario? It goes to zero. So you don't have to have a huge position, but like you mentioned, you could just throw out a little bit of money at it, see if it starts working. If it does, you can always add to it.
Yeah, for me, all the great winners start at the all-time high list, which is counterintuitive. So I really only look at other than the few people that I follow that look at growth names, I just look at the all-time high list once or twice a week. I try and find companies that resonate with me, that I may understand the catalysts. I put those on a list. When it's all biotechs, I'm shit out of luck because I don't really understand biotechs.
Same. I'm with you on that, man.
Yeah, or oil or solar. So, you can't, or airlines, the stars don't always align. You can't play in everything. But generally in the last 10 years, technology stocks are the ones that, that's a nice looking chart. The technology stocks are the ones, luckily, I participate in these companies. I understand, I use the products, and it's been a lot easier for me to understand the catalyst. So by following all-time high lists, I generally can spot where the next 50 bagger or 10 bagger is coming from. Can I apply proper risk management? Can I, hold? Can I sell enough along the way that keeps me in the deal? And then you got to apply all these different things, but it's really not that complicated. What's complicated is what happens after you make a purchase of a stock. All the things that you're going to do behaviorally that screw it up. But even in this one ENPH, if you show me 100 charts, the hard point would have been buying this stock on the move from 6 to 12.
Sure.
After it really broke out.
Yeah.
All-time highs.
Yep.
And you can see, some of these stocks just stop looking back. Now, if you want to apply a monthly, if you got in the 6 to 11 bar or 12, or even after it broke up, now you're up. I don't know how much you're up, but now you can try and ride this, right? You can sell enough that allows you to ride something like this, and you got to just put it away, and you don't have to check the stock every minute. And, maybe this is the next. Now, for me, what's hard is most biotechs are losing money, and, they're still in spending money mode, and you don't know what the market size is. So, there's certain industries I just don't follow because
right.
I just don't have the understanding of the catalysts and all the risks associated with them. But so that's the hardest part is saying no to a lot of things. And that's why quants exist, because quants are like, I'll take every stock that looks like that and apply my risk management towards it, because we don't know which stock is going to be the big one. And
right.
That's why quants are popular.
Yeah. Oh, makes valid sense. Jeff is asking in the chat pane, who are the people you follow? Let's say top 5.
I have a couple blog posts up on my blog at howardlindzon.com. I follow venture capitalists, not stock traders. I get my best stock ideas from venture capitalists. So the A16Z website, which is Mark Andreessen's website, which they've been talking about software eating the world. Fred Wilson. I read Tech Meme, which is kind of a geeky aggregation site for tech bloggers. So they're not going to be people that anybody's heard of. I don't really follow traders. I follow venture capitalists who are thinking much bigger. So, for example, with Fred Wilson, he's ABC, AdamVictorCharlie.com. He's not a trend follower. He's not a there's nothing. He doesn't even invest in stocks, But the reason I got excited about Bitcoin, because I had heard about it along the way, was, in 2015 at maybe $600 to $1,000, he started he invested in Coinbase, and he started talking about Bitcoin. And I was like, wait a minute, this has come from $1 to $600. What's this lunatic now about Bitcoin? And so, but that was a key point, right? Like, Fred didn't care about what price it had come to, or what. He didn't care about the price of it. He cared about the potential of it. And so when he started talking about Bitcoin, I stopped looking at what the price had been and I just started buying it, saying that, if Fred Wilson, is one of the best investors in the world, is starting to talk about this concept, and that the government and Warren Buffett are making fun of it, and JP Morgan are making fun of it, there's a really good opportunity in between where smart venture capitalists are embracing something, and the main people that everybody calls the experts are making fun of it. Even though it had gone from 1 to 600, I like my odds of following Fred Wilson into that battle.
Yeah.
And I'll sell when Warren Buffett starts accepting the idea of Bitcoin. And he won't. He's too old. There's no upside for Warren Buffett or JP Morgan to accept it. There's no point. Even if he agrees that it exists, it's going to hurt his core businesses of insurance and American Express, etc. Sure. So I read venture capitalists. So a long answer is, I don't really follow traders so much. Is I like to read with bigger ideas.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. And I think that's, reading that, checking out, figuring out what they're doing, because, traders are, like you mentioned, traders are traders, but having someone who's really, really thinking big picture, writing good information, writing good reports. Are there any other blogs? What's some other blogs that you read?
Not many. Ben Thompson, Stratechery, he's great. Yeah. He's not talking about stocks, but he's talking about like the FANG companies and their strategies. Who else do I read? Abnormal Returns, which is kind of an aggregator of business stories and financial. I read Morgan Housel, who kind of is a big picture thinker about strategy and investing concepts. And then on Stocktwits, there's hundreds of people I follow that are great technicians, just pointing out ideas and breakouts and stuff to keep me. But I'm more looking for price and volume than I am people. Anybody who shouts out a good idea is good with me. And then I kind of do my work myself.
Right. That's very valuable.
I'll share a link that you can share later with the blog post on who I follow and stuff.
Oh, okay. That'd be perfect. Yeah, thank you. And I'll put that in the show notes and all that kind of good stuff.
Yep.
Well, so what's a company other than PAGS? Anything that you're watching? Anything we should keep an eye on? You mentioned Pinterest, which, by the way, I'm going to go with your wife on that one, man. I'm a huge fan of Pinterest. I really am. I've done some research on it.
The sleep industry is one that I've been following for a while.
So yes.
So, that's Sleep Number. No, I'm talking about technology. So ResMed, RMD is probably the purest play, and the stock's done incredible. If you go back and look at the monthlies, you can see that this is a great company that no one's ever heard of.
Wow.
And so they're a San Diego company. They're basically the only company left standing. So one thing I like to find in industries is like, you can hear the venture capitalists are talking about sleep nonstop. Okay. And they're starting with like heavy blankets and like nose rings and like sleep apnea and like the phone's causing problems and like all these apps to try and meditation apps. But in the public markets where real money is spent, it's a problem. It's not going to be solved by a ring or an app. And it's not just the phone that's causing a problem. It's an overweight America, etc. It is the phone. It's all our addictions, and it's a aging of the country as well. So ResMed is just a pure play that hedge funds who can't buy startup companies continue to buy the dips on this company. So I'm shocked. I've been shocked that there's not more public plays. And so one stock that I've recently added is a company called INSP, which just came public and is more of a pure play on sleep apnea. It's, a medical equipment company. It's not cheap. It's not even profitable yet. And I think it's having a bad day today, but I just started buying it over the last 2 weeks. And, this is one where it could quickly fall into the 40s, but, it's one where I understand that hedge funds and institutions have very few choices if sleep becomes, a way to invest. And so, the dips on INSP and ResMed continue to get bought, and they are truly the purest plays. So they, people who have billions of dollars under management don't have the luxury of me investing 200 grand in a startup sleep company.
Right.
And so this is how the public markets are related to the private markets are and things like this. So that's kind of a fresh idea that I'm accumulating.
That is fresh. No, I like that. I think you're mentioning sleep, and that's something that everyone can resonate with and understand. And a lot of people are going to try to fix that solution. You mentioned heavy blankets. Is there a company that owns those or anything that you
No, it's just startup companies marketing on Instagram. If I open up Instagram, everybody's talking about their heavy blanket. Yeah. So it's just small companies that are pitching stuff.
Gotcha.
But in the real world, and where you got to deal in billions of dollars, these respiratory and sleep apnea companies where selling medical equipment are plays.
INSP, I'm going to keep an eye on it, man. Thank you so much for your time, Howard. I truly appreciate, you and I reaching back and forth and doing the email thing, and you just being really flexible and scheduling this time with me. It means a lot.
You got it.
Yeah. So thank you so much. It's an honor to have you on the show, and have a wonderful rest of your weekend, my friend.
Okay. Share that with me and I can share it around after.
Absolutely. Will do, my friend. Thank you.
Okay. See you, Jerremy.
All right. Take care. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the man, the myth, the legend. Great little chats. Great dude. Phenomenal contributor to the investing world, with Stocktwits. I'm a member on Stocktwits if you guys want to follow me. Got a few thousand followers. Post pretty frequently on Stocktwits, and it is a great platform, like I said, to get information. One of the ways I love using Stocktwits is coming over here and just going through the trending list, just reading it up, just going through each one of these. This changes every day, just to see what people are talking about. Like there's Viking Therapeutics. I forgot all about that one, VKTX. Just go look at Viking and see what that did. VKTX. I think that was some really beautiful insights and really great information and some takeaways. I'll probably listen to that interview 2 or 3 more times and just write everything down. And it's situations like that, my friends, where you have the opportunity as a real life trader to meet and get requests from other people, from other walks of life, from other thought processes, backgrounds, both future, current, and present. Anyway, for anyone watching or listening, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. You absolutely rock. Feel free to hop over to reallifetrading.com, check out our website, and I also have a YouTube channel, Real Life Trading. I'm everywhere social media is. My mission is to enrich lives with mentally liberating education. So thank you for watching, listening, tuning in. You rock. Bye.